Okay. So everything okay kada Lalesh? Good morning Anna. Anna వినిపిస్తుందా మీకు? హలో అన్నా నరేంద్ర అన్న మీ వాయిస్ వినిపిస్తలేదు. అదే ఐఎమ్ చాట్ పెడుతున్నా ఒక నిమిషం. ఐ డోంట్ థింక్ హీ ఈజ్ ఏబుల్ టు హియర్. కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను. 9:56 వచ్చేసిన టైం. యా అన్నా వినిపిస్తలేదు. ఏమన్నా ఫోన్ ద్వారా చేస్తున్నా. ఓకే ఓకే ఓకే
సార్ మీరు కూడా అడ్మిట్ కొట్టవచ్చు.
ఓకే రైట్.
ఓకే నేను దాంట్లో జాయిన్ కాను, ఫోన్ ద్వారా స్క్రీన్ మీద
జాయిన్ కాండి, కానీ ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంటే బాగుంటది. ఏమైతుంది వాయిస్ వినిపిస్తలేదన్నా?
వినబడలేదు, ఏమైంది అసలు కంప్యూటర్ సడన్ గా ఆఫ్ అయిపోయింది.
ఓకే దట్స్ ఓకే. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ జాయిన్ కండి.
ఓకే
ఓకే బాయ్. అన్న సిస్టంలోకి లాగ్ ఆఫ్ కాండి ల్యాప్టాప్. అన్న ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు హియర్ us?
హలో
we are able to hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. అది కదలకుండా మనం పెట్టుకోండి అయిపోతుంది.
అది.
యా అది సిస్టమ్ తీసేయండి, ఆ ల్యాప్టాప్ది తీసేయండి.
క్లోజ్ చేసేసిన.
చేసేసిండ్రా? ఇంకా నాకు ఎందుకు చూపిస్తుంది ఇది?
నేను క్లోజే చేసిన అసలు.
ఓకే అన్న, ఐఫోన్లో పేరు నరేందర్ రెడ్డి అని పెట్టుకోగలరా?
ఎట్లా పెట్టాలా?
అదే చూస్తున్నా, నేను చేస్తున్నాలే. ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది. ఓకే Ready, Anna?
Ready.
Okay, right. Lalesh. Lalesh, ready?
Sir.
Ready na? అన్న ఫోన్ రొటేట్ చేయగలుగుతారా? యా పర్ఫెక్ట్. ఇప్పుడు ఓకేనా? సెంటర్కి రండి అన్న, కొద్దిగా సెంటర్ చేసుకోండి. మీరు సెంటర్కి రండి, లేకపోతే ఫోన్ అటు జరపండి.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah. It's okay now. Okay na, Lalesh, let's start. 10 అయింది. ఎవరిది? కొద్దిగా ఫేస్ కిందికి రావాలి అన్న. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Ready. మీ షర్ట్ కొద్దిగా కిందికి అనుకోండి, స్ట్రైట్.
9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to TV5 and Mana TV. You are watching Insight with Praveen Puram live from Atlanta. Today we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Narendra Reddy, who is contesting for Georgia Senate from District 50. Welcome to this show, Mr. Reddy. How are you today?
Very good. And getting tired of this campaign, but I'm still got 2 more days to do.
Glad to have you here. I'm sure that this is the message for the voters, and definitely we wanted to hear more from you on the election campaign. So just I have no introduction. Definitely everyone know about Mr. Reddy. Who is Mr. Reddy? And just a quick intro. He has been in the real estate. He's a president of Sterling Realty Services, and he has been serving the community more than 2 decades. And he has been in the Republican Party more than 2 decades. So, Mr. Reddy, how is the election campaign going on right now?
It is getting very hectic, and it is a neck-to-neck fight, just like the primary runoff election. Nothing is easy in this environment, but we have a lot of hopes that we're going to win, because our campaign is based on the issues, not on just a negative campaign. And also there is a lot of support from the Indian American community this time, and I'm very confident they are working for me to win this election.
That's great to hear, Mr. Reddy. And we know that you are the first Indo-American in Georgia, at least for the Senate. Am I right?
For the State House, yeah.
Yes, State House. So tell us more about your political journey in the 2 decades, how you have been into this politics, and why did you think of running for this Georgia Senate?
First, my involvement with the Republican Party started almost like 30 years ago, because when I was in college here, President Reagan was in his first term. He used to talk about the family values, faith, and the importance of education for success and entrepreneurship and all these things. So I used to think these are the same virtues my parents taught me. So this is the same virtues that the Republican Party is holding. So I thought when one day when I'm financially settled, I will get into Republican Party politics, helping the candidates, particularly good candidates, to get elected. So that's what I was doing for the last 3 decades, actually. I started with the senior Bush campaign, and I was part of it. And after that, governors, congressmen, and senators, I was helping them with my money and also doing the fundraisers. Why I got into this election? Because all these years I've been telling our Indian community to get actively involved in the political environment, because Indian Americans are very good in the forefront of academics, research, medicine, businesses, and a lot of things. But they are way behind in politics. But politics is the one that is where the real power is to make the legislations. that can affect our businesses, our professions, and our children's education and our standard of life. So that is the reason I'm running this in this election. Also, I want to inspire more Indian Americans to run for political offices. And I think when I win this election, more and more people will be running in the next 2 to 4 years for elections. That's all. My goal is to make sure that Indian Americans are activated politically and they also become part of the political world in this country.
Absolutely, Mr. Reddy. I think that's a great thought for you to think. Now it's time for all of us to be the voice in the legislation. Absolutely right. And I agree with you. We are all good in education. We are all good in business and academics and medicine, whatnot, everything what you said. So tell us more. A basic question from my side and also from the audience. Why did you choose Republican Party against Democratic Party?
Yeah, when I came to this country, I realized whoever is politically active or whoever voting, 80% of the Indian Americans are voting for the Democratic Party. And even today, that is the same scenario, not much changed. Even with the new generation, somehow they go with the Democratic Party. The perception is Republican Party anti-immigrant. What our Indian American community doesn't understand is Republican Party is not anti-immigrant. They are for the legal immigration, and they don't want illegal immigration, like people crossing the border, coming still without any visas. Those are the things they don't like. But at the same time, if you look at it in the history, the only time ever amnesty was given to immigrants was during President Reagan's time. And Democrats talk, but they never deliver anything. And whereas now, if you look at it, the immigration issues, White House, Obama was 8 years president. Biden is almost 2 years now, but they never solved any problem.
Absolutely. So you brought up a very, very touchy point in the community. I also, from my research, I understand that people always think about immigration. Yes, as you rightly said. So being the primary issue of immigration in the community, what would be your take once you win the election and take the office? What are the measures you are going to take exclusively on immigration? The reason I'm talking about immigration because to give more confidence to our folks, Indo-Americans.
One thing is, if the legal immigrants come to this country to work hard to succeed legally. Absolutely. So my thinking is Indian Americans are mostly legal immigrants. They don't have any problem with that kind of situation. What they look for is equal opportunities. We don't even ask for any special quota or special affirmative action or special reservations. All that we want is equal opportunity. So as a legislator, I'm going to stop if there is going to be any legislation that they're going to make, even indirectly that is going to discriminate our community, I'm going to stop right at the table. So that is the reason I'm going to the state legislature.
Absolutely. I think that's the right way of doing, Mr. Reddy. So let's talk about more the campaign. How the campaign is going on? How many voters are there in the District 50? What is the kind of support you are getting from the Indo-American community?
The district is Johns Creek City. It is called District 50. Johns Creek City is a very, very highly educated community with high income. Johns Creek has the highest average household income in the state of Georgia. Education-wise, 97% of the Johns Creek residents are high school graduates and 67% is college graduates. This is one of the highest in the state level. But what I'm looking for is by this district is we want to bring new corporate headquarters and we want to bring more jobs. We want to make sure the economy is good. Also, we want to make sure that the crime is not going to come to Johns Creek because crime has increased a lot in Atlanta, but Atlanta is not too far from our Johns Creek. It is on the same highway 141. So we want to encourage the police department by giving them incentives and by by giving them enough resources so that they can be happy to work Because what happened is in the last 4 years, these progressive Democrats, they demoralized the police force everywhere in the country. That's why today nobody wants a job in the police department. It is hard for the police department to recruit new forces. So I want to make sure that our police department gets incentives and resources and equipped properly for the changing times.
Absolutely, Mr. Reddy. I think you touched upon the security, which is the high priority for all of us. And as you said, there are a lot of legal challenges for the police community. I think that would be a great help if you can really address this problem. So tell us more, Mr. Reddy, how many voters are there in Johns Creek, in your District 50, and out of which, how many are Indian American community?
In Johns Creek, we have 40,000 voters.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that, 3,500 is Indian Americans, which is a good percentage actually. In the early voting so far, we have seen 1,500 people voted from the Indian community. And the total voted is in the early voting is 16,000. But the real election is on the election day, November 8th. And I'm hoping there'll be either at least 10,000 or more will be voting on the election day. Yeah. And this time also what I'm doing is in the last few days, those who have not voted from the Indian community and mainstream community, I am pursuing with them. I'm making phone calls. We have a phone bank. Volunteers also calling them to make sure that they go to the poll on November 8th. Indian community has a very good power in this, voting power in this district, if they use it. If they don't use it, they don't have it. In the primaries, they did not vote many, but in the final election, I'm hoping they would turn around and they would come and help me to get elected. So Johns Creek is a very vibrant district and Indian community perfectly fits in. And also, you know that there were two city councillors were elected about a year ago from the Indian community. So this will help us in the future to control our lifestyle, to protect our lifestyle, and to protect our families.
Absolutely, Mr. Reddy, you're right, because two councils have been elected from Johns Creek, and you being on the running the, we hope that you will win this election and run the office, and that would add more value to the community. I would urge the entire community, because 35% of 40,000 is not a small amount, maybe 12 to 14,000 people, all are Indo-American community. I request everyone who is watching or who will watch the recording, please go to the votes and please make your vote and share your voice so that, you know, Mr. Reddy is winning, and then he will be on behalf of us in the House fighting all the challenges. So, Mr. Reddy, so coming to the early election, so you already said that it's more than 50% has already voted. Is that
close
right?
Close to.
So tell us, what is your agenda, main agenda for this election? For example, you are running this election and you run and you win and take the office. What are your first 5 things which you are going to fight for the Indo-American community, for the sake also the Johns Creek safety and the benefit of the citizens?
First one is economy. We want to make sure that economy, even though in the country we are almost getting into the recession mode, but we would like to see that jobs are not lost in Johns Creek, in particular in this district, because this district has a very good white collar and blue collar jobs. And we want to make sure that they don't go away. And we want to encourage the corporations and small businesses, particularly. Small businesses are owned by a lot of Indian Americans, Asians, and other communities. We want to protect and we want to encourage them to continue their businesses and expand. On the education side, my issue is the education side. Education also is very important for any city to grow further into the future. And particularly communities like Asian communities, Indian communities, and mainstream communities, they want good high schools and good primary schools and good middle schools. Luckily, Johns Creek does have all of them as of now. But we don't want to lose that quality. But also, there is no limit to what a quality, how far quality can be grown. So I want to make sure that our education system in the Johns Creek high schools is much more oriented towards encouraging our students to go and compete at the national levels, not just in the Georgia level. but in the national level. And I want our students to get into the Ivy League schools like Harvard, Stanford, and all those schools. So we have that one. Safety-wise, as I mentioned before, I want to encourage the police department to make sure that safety of a citizen is paramount to any community, and that's what we want to do. That's how we're going to go. And I'm very confident I'm going to win this election, and I'm going to keep my words to the constituency. That's what I'm promising. Let us see what happens. But I'm very confident I'm going to win on Tuesday.
Absolutely. We all wish for that, Mr. Reddy. I think the agenda is very, very clear on the safety, education, and the economy. I think these are the wonderful agenda what you have picked up. But I would like to ask a little more deeper. You have been doing this campaigning since 2 to 3 months, and you have been door-to-door campaigning, phone calls, volunteers. So tell us more what you are hearing, because this election is absolutely after the pandemic. Definitely the residents might have some challenges which might have brought to your attention. So can you tell us what are those you have been observing in your campaign?
This general election campaign is only 2 to 3 months old. But before that, I had to go through the primary. In the primary election, it was in May 24th, and none of the candidates got a 50% requirement. So we went into a runoff election. In the runoff election, I won by a narrow majority. So all this journey is almost like now 9 to 10 months journey now. And also I went and knocked on the doors for more than 6,500 homes. Wow. That was the biggest part of this campaign. It's not easy to going to the homes and every day knocking on the doors, talking to the people that you never know, you never met in your life. And also it is a physically and mentally stressful work, the door knocking. But the reward is very high. The reward that is how I got elected in the primary. Otherwise, I would have never got elected, because when you go door knocking, they will ask you the questions. What are you going to, just like you are asking me. They also interview me in the premises. They ask me, okay, if I vote for you, what are you going to do for the city? What are you going to make anything that is helpful to my lifestyles? Things like that, they keep asking. So my biggest strength was to convince them exactly what I was planning. And also, I don't talk like a politician. I talk like a real practical person. That's what they like. And in this campaign, particularly in the November election campaign, it is not easy. I'm running against a sitting senator, Michelle Au, and she's experienced in politics. And so every way it is a uphill struggle for me. But ultimately, I think with the help of the community, with the help of everyone in the mainstream, I think I'm going to win.
Absolutely. That's a great effort. Going to 6,000 door to door is not a simple thing, Mr. Reddy. I think you have done a great job there. And when you're also touched upon the sitting senator, I know that the earlier whoever has been for the Georgia, her name was like Angelica, right? So now she is not contesting anymore. And 48th district, what you said is Michelle Au is coming and contesting against you. So what is the threat or what is the risk for us being a sitting senator? Is it for funding or experience, or what is the challenge you see from her?
Both the things that you mentioned. Funding also, what happens is once she gets elected to the Senate, she was already raising the money for the re-election. But usually for people who got elected to the State House, the next step is go to the Senate. Whereas this lady, my opponent, she's already senator, but demoting herself to coming to the House. Other advantage they have is she already knows the politics, inner politics, I mean. Whereas I don't know the inner politics. I know only grassroots level people and also at the leadership level. But she knows how the system works and all that. She can use that system to campaign against me. And also in the entire campaign, believe it or not, our entire campaign was negative campaign, making allegations against me without any proof. and purposely she was misleading the constituency. But people are not that dumb. Voters really know who is telling the truth, who is not telling the truth. She never talks about the real issues. She never talks about the economy. She never talks about the education. She never talks about the public safety. But she talks about some social issues which are not going to bring any food to the table. When I go into the public, I speak about the issues that can make a difference. How can they bring the food to the kitchen table? And I basically discuss only kitchen table issues, not the social issues. So she has advantage. She collected about 500,000, and but I'm okay. I'm also equally competing, but not to that level. But at least more than halfway, I'm competing with her. And money is not a problem for this election. If I'm going to lose, that should not be the problem. So she, like you said, she has advantages in raising money, and she has advantages in knowing the politics. I don't. I had to raise money from mostly from my friends and locals, and even outside the state, I have friends because I've been in Georgia for 40 years, and a lot of people know me. So everybody thought that Narendra is going to work for the community if he gets elected. That's why they are giving the money. So I'm very thankful to the community and friends and family, extended family, everyone who contributed to my campaign. Most importantly, I'm thankful to all the volunteers who are spending their valuable time in spreading the news about my campaign, and also personally coming with me to go door knocking, all these things. So volunteers are my biggest force.
Absolutely, definitely. I think we always hear good positive vibes from you, Mr. Reddy. Wherever we have any community event, we always see you, and I'm sure that people recognize that efficient work, and they know about you. And I'm sure that you are going to, it will be a successful win for you. So tell us, were you able to sustain with the raised fund, or still you have any challenges there from raising the funds so far?
In the primary and runoff elections, it was not that problem for me to raise money. But those two elections costed me a lot of money. So that made a dent in my funds that I needed for the November election. So for this November election, believe it or not, every day I'm raising money. I'm making phone calls in the daytime. In the evening, I go for the door knocking. But luckily, it is tough to raise money again and again for the election, but not bad. Still, I'm very happy with the way we are accomplishing our fundraiser targets. And we did a very neat, very clear campaign, no negativity. And we're just bringing the issues to the voters, and the voters are realizing that. And I'm sure the people are realizing too. So this is going to help me a lot.
Absolutely fantastic. So, who has been the biggest influence on you from the state government and politics? What have you learned from that person?
Particularly, my biggest influence in the national level was George W. Bush, president. When he was president, I had interacted with several times. And getting me into the politics is President Reagan. At the state level, I like all the three governors that we have so far. Luckily, all of them are very efficient, and they kept the state. Even, for example, current governor Brian Kemp, he put the state in a healthy condition even during the pandemic. But economically also, he did an excellent job. And this year, for example, 2022, we had the largest surplus we ever had in our budget. That is $6.4 billion. We never had a surplus that kind of level in all my 35 years in Atlanta. Particularly, the Republican governors are very good for economic issues. When first time the Republican governor got elected in 2002, there was no funds in the reserve, zero. Today we have at least 4.6 billion in the reserve funds. In case of emergency, governor should be able to do. So I like all the three governors, Brian Kemp, Nathan Deal, and Sonny Perdue. And also all of them appointed me to the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. And so I've been a board member of that authority for the last 19 years. So actually nobody served under three governors. So when I'm serving under three governors, that shows one thing. I'm a team player, and I can work under any kind of conditions under the leadership of anybody for the betterment of Georgia. So I'm very happy to be working with 3 governors in my stay in Georgia for the last 35 years. And this position is 19 years. And I'm one of the senior most members in the board.
That's great to hear, Mr. Reddy. Working with 3 governors, I'm sure that you have a lot of experience to, serve this office. And you touched upon one of the surplus amount in state of Georgia. I definitely wanted to ask more question. Most of the funds which are spent on taxes and also spending on education, right? So, for example, even in 2023, let's say the surplus amount remains the same. So, what is that you want to spend on? If you were to give a chance to ask what you want to spend on.
Okay. One thing is this money that belongs to people. People pay taxes from their pockets. So some of the money already been returned this year, and some more will be returned to the taxpayers next year. But other money that will be still with us, we're going to use for the healthcare, to improve the healthcare particularly, and to improve the infrastructure of the state. And these additional funds are going to help for the schools to improve their infrastructure facilities, and to get your teachers trained in the new subjects, and sending them for new trainings, these kind of things. Because Georgia needs to be, Georgia is particularly right now is the number 1 place for doing business in the entire country. So we want to make sure that we are supporting that system with money if needed, when needed. And we want to continue to keep Georgia as the number 1 state for doing business.
Absolutely. So in many of the interviews or the questions from the media, I could see that you like more, even though you like 3 governors, as you said, but I could sense that you like more on Nathan Deal. So tell us more, what was that you liked about Nathan?
Nathan Deal is one person who taught me to work with even opponents. When Nathan Deal was the governor, he was working with Democrats also to get things done. Rather than fighting all the time in the legislature, he has a lot of projects to go. He came with as a governor with an agenda. To get that agenda approved and happen into the practice, he was working with, whenever he needed, he crossed the aisle and he spoke to the Democrats, and he took their support, and he explained to them why it is good for Georgia. And also he convinced them, let us not play politics that can hurt the progress of our state, and that can hurt the lives of our citizens. So that is what I learned from him. When I get elected to the State House, that's what exactly my plan also. I want to work with everybody, not just with the Republicans, but I want to work for the betterment of the state and my district. I'll be ready to work with the Democrats as and when needed. And I have a way of talking to those people also. So I'm very confident we can get things done rather than just sitting there and fighting every day for things that we can never accomplish. So let us do what we can do practically. So I'm going to take everyone's support.
Brilliant thought, Mr. Reddy. Coming to the being in media, I've been observing, right? People are coming out for politics, and especially Mr. Kemp, I like, because he's very, very social with all of us. He comes to our events, and not only that, he has given an opportunity for 20 Indo-Americans, whatnot, in his board or any of the members as a board member in some of the, like, healthcare, in the transportation, in the education, in the justice. And tell us more, like, when you run the office, what is in your mind that you are going to bring, how you are going to bring Indo-Americans into the boards or nominate them left, right, and center to make them more active?
No, I've been doing this all the time anyway. For example, in Georgia, we have about 15% of the physician force is Indian Americans. Absolutely. But they never had a representation at the board of licensing, medical and health board licensing. So when Governor Sunny Purdue was governor, I persuaded him to appoint one of us into the medical licensing board. That happened during his time, because he asked me, okay, whom should I appoint? Then I took the advice of the local association of the physicians, and I gave the name and he appointed. After that, we never lost. We have a representation. And particularly Brian Kemp came as a governor. Now we have 2 medical doctors on the board of Indian origin. So I was doing this all the time, and I will continue to do that. We need to get our share in the boards and all these boards that the governor appoints, because we are the one of the highest tax paying community, and we have the highest average household income, and we have the lot of businesses owned by Indian American community. But we need representation in the related boards. Otherwise, the licensing law can be changed any time. The licensing laws can be changed to hurt particularly our community. So we need to have a person at the table. We never had a person at the table in many boards, but Governor Brian Kemp also doing very good. He appointed a lot more people, and this will continue because Brian Kemp is going to win again, and he's going to continue this one for 4 more years for sure.
Absolutely, Mr. Reddy. I think this is a great change in the coming years, and I wish that you have to win and bring more people onto the board. And you touched upon health, you touched upon security, you touched upon education, you touched upon even the economy, right? So how do you see the housing market, right? Let's talk more about housing, how the bubbling happens, and what will happen in the next 2 years. So when you take on the board, what is your thought process on regulating the housing market?
Housing market is basically local level mostly. It is a county level. The zonings and all that are handled by the county. The state level, we do only one thing about the regional development. Is if some region that they want to develop some kind of housing, the government decides whether it is because you have to look at the transportation issue. We don't want to high density in one place because it can to create a traffic gridlock. So those kind of issues at the state level are decided. But otherwise, 90% of the residential construction and all that are decided by the county level. Second thing is, you asked me about what is the housing market going to be. With the current interest rates being at 7%, actually next week it will go to 7.5%. Almost like will be tripled since last January. In 1 year, the interest rates are tripled in a high level. That means more and more people are not qualified to buy. A person who is qualified to buy a home when the interest rate was 2.5%, now he is not qualified because the rates went up to 7.5% almost. So we have to look at that one. The market is going to be kind of on a pause button for some time, or at least the demand will be less. And already builders are very careful now. They're cutting down on their constructions. They're waiting. But nothing is going to change, at least for next 1 year for sure. It is going to be very tough for the residential builders, and also for the people who wants to buy a home. They may have to postpone their dreams.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Mr. Reddy. So being in media, definitely, I'm sure that you're going to win the race. And I would request you to put us also in some of the boards to understand more on the communication with the government, and we be equally part in those aspects as well. With that said, I think it's a wonderful journey, what you have so far and what we see, and the support from the Indo-American community has been fantastic as well. So in the next 2 days, what is your message to the community and how can they help you?
This next 2 days, I'm focusing on the Indian community, particularly because there are about 2,000 voters who have not voted yet in the early voting. So today, actually, right after this interview, I'm going on the door knocking of the Indian communities, particularly in the Sheikh Lag area, because that's where the communist at large lives. And so this today and tomorrow, that's what my focus is, because 2,000 votes is a lot, because that can make or break an election. So this is where before I was focusing on the mainstream and Indians and everyone, but this last 2 days, I'm going to go after Indian community. I'm going to talk to them to make a selection in this election, and send me to the White House, State House, because this will be in history. Because in India, in Georgian history, we never got an Indian American elected to the state level job. So this is going to be a big historical event, and I will ask all the Indian community to be part of it by voting on November 8th.
Absolutely. I think I would urge each and every viewer or the Indo-American citizen in Johns Creek area, District 50, please go and vote on 8th of November, and let's make this as a successful win for Mr. Reddy, and he will be our voice, and I'm sure that he's such a loving person. He will listen to everyone and he will make a difference in the legislature. Please do vote right now. Please be prepared on 8th. If you have any challenges, adjust to the other day and ensure to avoid more lines. Go early and vote on 8th. Thank you so much, everyone. And Mr. Reddy, I think we wish you a successful campaign, and I'm sure that you are going to take the office and we will be behind you. Thank you again. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts and views and my campaign methods. I really appreciate this. This is a great forum. I'll be looking forward to do more interviews in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
You.